Hi, welcome back to my studio. I'm Christy Thornbury. Today I'm going to teach you how to design a simple mandala using just a basic math set and a pen that is waterproof and permanent. I'm working on watercolor paper because in a later lesson I'm going to show you some basic watercolor painting skills and techniques, and then we will be able to paint our mandalas together. All right. Let's begin making a line across about the middle of your paper. Don't press too hard as you make your line across. Just graze lightly the paper because you want to be able to erase this line afterwards. And I'm going to find the approximate center. You can measure it if you want to. I find the approximate center there and I make a tiny little dot. Now I'm going to use that dot to line it up with this little T intersection here on my protractor. So I'm going to lay this down so that black line is right on top of my pencil line. And I'm going to make a mark at 90 degrees, 45 degrees, and 135 or 45 on the other side. So two 45-degree marks and one 90-degree mark. Then I'll flip over the protractor and I'll do the same thing on the other side. I want to line up that little T intersection with my center dot and start making my marks at 45, 45 on this side, and 90. Okay, just very lightly, like I said, again, these are going to be erased. So I want to connect the dots, and I want to make sure that my line is going to connect these dots, but also very important that my line goes through the center line. Sorry, through the center point, I should say. And connect these dots also, making sure to go through the center point and not pressing too hard. So what I'm doing is making an 8-segment circle. I'm going to make a circle around here, or 8 pie slices like that. And they're all symmetrical, so they're all the same size. Now I'm going to use my compass. I want to make my first, the outer circle, I'm going to make it about that big. And how big is that? I want to measure it on my, it's about 6.5. I'll make it 6 just to keep things even. There. 6 centimeters is what I'm going to use first. A little bit bigger there. And I put the point of my compass on the center of my circle, the center of my mandala. And I just gently, keeping the pressure on the center point. And this takes a little bit of practice if you haven't done this in a long time. Don't worry about it. You have an eraser. I'm just going to make a circle going around like that. Keeping the pressure on the center point and not pressing on the pencil makes it a lot easier to keep it in place and be able to turn it around. Then I'm going to make a little bit smaller circle. So I started with 6. I'm going to go down by 2. So now I'm going to go down to 4 centimeters. There we go. See, there's a 4 centimeters circle. And again, very gently, making sure to keep the point of the compass in the center so it doesn't move. And let's go down again. So that was 4. Let's go down to 2. 2 centimeters here. Next, going down to 1 centimeter. It gets a little tougher to keep the point in the right place in the center and to make your circle when they get smaller and smaller. This is not quite the last one. We're going to make one more. 0.5 centimeter. This is going to be tricky. Okay. 0.5 centimeter circle, In fact, it might be easier to keep the compass in one place and turn the paper. There we go. So here is our first step. I usually tell students who are unsure about how to begin, because thinking about trying to create an entire mandala here is a little bit daunting. So I always tell people this is supposed to be a therapeutic process. So you have only one decision to make at any given time. And for now, to start, it's either a dot or a donut. And what I mean by that is you're going to start in the center with your permanent waterproof pen, and you're going to either make a filled-in dot, or you're going to make a donut, which is a circle that's not filled in. So that makes things a little bit simpler. There, I've made a donut as my next step. Of course, this is by hand. Don't forget, it's not going to be perfect, nor should it be. So you start with a dot or a donut, or a dot and then a donut. And those are the only things you have to think about at this moment. Now the next moment, I have to think about, what am I going to do next in this little segment out to about here? Because the patterns in my mandala should start out quite small in here, and then as it expands, so do my patterns. So I can start with some kind of shape like this, like a petal or a leaf. And what I do in one segment, I have to do in all of the other segments, so that everyone is relatively the same. Of course, again, you're doing this by hand. There's going to be lots of variations, lots of slight variations and differences in each segment, and that's totally okay. This is about the process. So just enjoy the process and not having to decide what you're going to do until the step comes, like this next one. I think what I will do is connect this and make this a complete circle. Now the next thing I'm going to do maybe is to make some dots on these lines here. Starting out bigger and getting smaller. I don't necessarily have a plan in mind, but I just need to make one decision at a time and then keep growing out from there. Making a mandala should be a calming experience. Perhaps if it's your first time and you want it to look good, it may not be very calming yet. But after you practice it a few times and then you realize, oh wait, it doesn't matter what I do. I can just kind of doodle my way through it. It's just that whatever you do in one segment, you do the same thing in the others. Notice that I make a little point, a dot there, because I want to have a goal or a target to aim at, so I can make sure that my line goes to the center. I'm looking at the center here and making a dot, so I know when I bring this line out where I'm aiming at. It just makes things easier. Put a dot in all of these in the approximate center, just measuring by my eye, and that way I have a little dot to aim at. There and there. Turn your page around as you go, so your hand is always in a comfortable position. If you find yourself reaching around like this and it becomes very awkward, it's not going to be easy, and it probably won't look as good. I'll just keep adding on here like this. Now I think I'll make petals again. I'm going to mark the center of each segment, just like I did in this little area here. I'm going to make that same kind of petal, but this time obviously they're going to be a lot bigger. And I'm marking my goal, or my aiming point, and I'm going to make them rounded a little bit at the top. And then I'll go down to my dot there. There. Trying to make each one the same shape and size, but I know that they're not exactly the same. So keep going, adding your designs, creating your pattern, just making sure to do the same thing in each segment so that your mandala is symmetrical. Okay, as much as I want to keep going and keep adding more details, there's lots of details that I could add inside here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold myself back. Just to keep this video short and simple, I'm going to erase once my pen is, I'm sure that it's dry, then I can start erasing all of my pencil lines. That means erasing over the entire mandala design. That's why you want to make sure that your pen is dry before you do this, or you'll end up with some black smudges. Okay. I hope from this video you learned how to make a simple mandala using a basic math set. In another video, I'll be showing you some basic watercolor skills and techniques, and we will paint a mandala together. Thanks for joining me today in my art studio. See you again soon. Bye for now.